What's up, summoners? King Blair here. With the Seaside Bellona banner only having 2 more days before it goes away for at least another year, I wanted to show a showcase on Seaside Bellona, and one of the reasons she's such a big threat to things like Arena and things like Guild Wars, and one of the reasons that particularly in Arena, you see a lot of people, even top level players, have Roana in their defense. Even here, that I've dropped down all the way to Challenger, we still see Roana, and if we see at the top rankings, we will also see Roana and Elena a lot in these type of defenses. Why? Mainly because of Seaside Bellona. So you see there that occasional Rana, or right now Elena, since Elena kind of does the same idea, that is to try to stop Seaside from just dunking on your team, right? So with this video, hopefully we get to see why so many people have to protect themselves against Seaside, especially in things like Guild Wars, since in Guild Wars, this team also does work. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, link down in the description. But with that, let me show you the Seaside that I personally use. It is a PvP Seaside. If you guys don't know, Seaside does have both a PvP and PvE build. She's an extremely versatile unit. If you haven't pulled for her, you should 100% pull for her. She's ridiculously powerful. She is pretty much maximal Agora in the skills that really matter. This is the stats. She's not on lifesteal. I still think that lifesteal Seaside is going to be the best type of Seaside. My Seaside's crit rate is also a little bit on the low side, but aside from that, I'm pretty happy with how bulky she is. Of course, the drink is not maxed out, and ideally it should be. But for the most part, this is what I like from my PvP Seaside. The only thing I would change is give her more crit rate and make her lifesteal, right? If that was possible, I would do that. But it is quite hard since she's pretty hard to build for PvP, although there's a variety of builds with lifesteal, with not lifesteal, with broken sets like I have, right? The only thing that really matters is immunity for the PvP set, right? For PvE, completely different build. For that one, it's mostly just damage, so she's able to clear the waves quite early, and that again, completely different build for PvP Seaside, but that is used in things like Wyvern one-shots. So with that, let's actually get right into it with some real-time Arena, not RTA, but just Arena in real time. So let's show you guys a couple of people that don't have Seaside. I'm gonna shout on this one because this one is kind of one of the better examples as well on what can happen if you don't have Seaside. I can legit put this defense on auto, assuming the Cerise is not super high effectiveness. I should be able to just legit auto this defense, right? And why is that so good? Because if I can play the game less, that is better for me. The faster I can clear these, the easier it is mentally for me, the more likely I am to hit your defense. Especially because most people have a defense particularly set up for this, right? So we're going to set an auto. And assuming that our Elena does not get restricted, which she shouldn't. She did though. Should still be okay. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. She does get still a lot of healing, and Seaside's pretty tanky. But normally this team, the Elena does have pretty high average, which means that this is a pretty decently high statted unit. But we should be fine. Honestly, this team's quite tanky, and we're just going to be eating him alive. And Elena, of course, is there to cut the damage. Really weird. Very weird team composition. But right here, Elena will set up, right? And we will kill the RB and set up attack buff for the rest of the team. And at this point, it's going to be pretty much GG. I mean, it's a Seaside solo. He's forced to use this on the RB, and once we set up attack buff, it's going to be really hard for him to get past this team, right? Even though we have the glancing hit, the drink should be doing so much damage to his team. Here we'll get the first one, and this is the reason why Roana is so popular, or something like Elena, as I mentioned before, to try to stop this, because for me, this is very mentally easy, right? I can put this, and I know it's going to win, because there's nothing that can really interrupt the Seaside combo. I have more than enough sustain to get me through this. Of course, the Seaside is not taking any of the damage. He has really high effectus units. He's actually hitting a lot of his debuffs. I'm actually pretty surprised about. But yep, at this point is where you really start seeing the power of a defense. And of course, the Senya is just because I really like Senya, which is why I made this team work. But yeah, should be quite easy from here. So nothing crazy, right? It's a pretty standard one. This is more for against cleaving. Of course, it also does work for things like not cleaves, right? So she should be healing her the RB, and at this point, there's no way that this RB comes back, right? As much as he may want to, even though he has max stacks, even if he's able to hit me 1,000,000 times, the Seaside damage should be too much for him, especially with attack buff, since every time she goes, she's able to do all this damage almost true, right? And we also do have the mitigation from the Elena to try to cut some of that damage, right? So even if he was able to gab, we have the Elena cutting the damage. We have the Elena healing. Our Senya will go down because she did get crit a lot. but with the support. This is the Invincibility style team, which is one of the things I like because Seaside's typically on the slower side. As you guys saw, she was very slow. You're able to keep that Invincibility for quite a long time. So with that, even with all these hits, even with all this hate, Seaside's going to survive. She's quite tanky. Right, and I will try to show you another one against a more Bruiser type defense, where Seaside also works, although most people do protect themselves against this type of offense, right? Because everyone has to have some way to stop it. And it doesn't have to be DN. It can be something like a General Purgus, although General Purgus would kick you out of Invincibility faster. It can be something like Sinful Angelica. Some people like to do a slow cleave with also Crimson Armin is a big one. Crimson Armin with Sinful Angelica and a Bloodbraid Karen is also pretty common. Would have been perfect on this situation as well. So overall, not super bad, not super complicated. Works extremely well, extremely reliable. Assuming they don't have Roana or a way to deal with the Seaside like a fucking Clary, you should be able to win your fights quite easily. So that's one of the reasons why people do guard against it, because this was really easy for me. I mean, it was on all auto. There was no point where I was worried. And we're going to refresh just because I want to try to see a defense that it also kind of does work. So let's try this one with a more aggressive team. So this one, you may be thinking, Carrot, right? That's a little bit scary, right? They have Last Rider Crawl, they have a Landy, right? But the thing is, at the end of the day, since there's no Rana, we can still Seaside it, right? The only thing is I'll have to put some way to remove the buffs, and then I'm chilling, right? And this is another team that I actually do think I already have built for the ones that I actually use against these. And I do use Bazaar for this one, just because it makes it easier for me. Yeah, it should be this one, because I like the speed on it. It's Bazaar. Fallen Cecilia is for the mitigation, and then the General Purgus for the attack, right? So this is the other team. This one is not auto until I do the Bazaar S3. And then after I do the Bazaar S3, it's pretty much on auto, even though there's a Last Rider Crown. Again, pretty basic. No Roana, no way to really deal with the Seaside aside from hoping that the Carrot just destroys me, right? And that's not the most reliable way. He does have the Landy, right, to try to do damage on her, but you can strip those type of buffs with Bazaar or another form of stripper. And we also have a ton of buffs with Fallen Cecilia, so that Carrot should not be doing too much to us. We're already eating some of the barriers here. No barriers should be going on from the Crawl. And because the FCC is going to be taking all the hate, that Crawl is going to be going to the FCC. That's just simple manipulation of the RNG, right? And once we set up, it's going to be pretty much GG, right? It's just going to be a straight dunk, right? So he'll get to do his S3 here. So he'll do some damage to me, right? No attack buff, so nothing too crazy. But we do have our Seaside with defense, with an Aureus holder, even though she already has self Aureus, and with attack buff, and it's just way too much damage for the opponent to keep up. Like, just look at all that damage, right? It's just click and auto, right? I know I keep saying it in circles, but this is why Seaside offenses are so threatening. Right, and that's it. Look, nice and easy. I'm not even worried, right? So this is the reason why you really should put a defense against your Seaside, and why if you're someone that owns Seaside, you want to make a team like this. So whether someone that can strip and set up into the Seaside, or something more where you have your team protected against Seaside offenses, because these are more common than you would expect. Almost everyone and their grandmas has a Seaside at this point, and if you're not ready for it, you are going to just get Seasided. This is the reason why I have fucking Clary in my defense. This is why you see, again, Roana. This is why you see Elena, right? All these different units are to deal with Seaside bellona. So now let's take it to Guild Wars. It's going to be a lot of the same thing. But again, you see most people do protect themselves against it. This one is not really that protected. I could easily put Bazaar against this one, and it really doesn't do much against me, right? This one, you shouldn't be taking Seaside because there's a Roana, right? So, and this one, you could honestly take it as well with the Elena team. If I put Elena in here, there's nothing he can do except hope that his Tenebria sleeps my Seaside. And I could easily put a Fallen Cecilia to make sure the immunity is not stripped, right? So Seaside offense is one of the most efficient offenses in the game, assuming they don't have a Roana to really stop you. And for the most part, Roana is going to be the most reliable way to stop a Seaside offense. If not, you have to get a little bit more creative, get a little bit tankier, and think of ways that you can do it. Me personally, I didn't want to use Roana, so I ended up using something like Factory Clerk. Right, so it forces them to bring multiple Earth. We're going to be doing this against this guild. We are currently close to top 100, although it is still preseason, so take that with a grain of salt. Which reminds me, I am looking for, I believe, one more player to fill a role in the guild. So if you're someone that's in Champion and Arena and you're trying to looking for a guild for a little bit harder experience, hit me up in the Discord. Just message me if you're looking for something. I'm just gonna say Champion Arenas because we do fight a lot of high level guilds. It's more for you guys than for me. But I do think one, I think maybe two. I'll have to double check. But we have some slots open. But with that, I kind of preset these teams so it wouldn't take too long. I don't know. The first team is not super solidified, but the bottom team, the big thing is it doesn't really matter who this Kise goes on because the Riolet cannot follow up, and by the time that the Kise can do significant damage, we should already have gotten rid of her, right? Unless of course they're Ruel. So this one should be relatively easy. My guild seems to be having some issues against this defense. I imagine because it is a lot of damage coming from this side, and not everyone has MO haste, right? So that's another thing that I do understand, that not everyone has not everyone has an MO haste, and that is one of the reasons why sometimes these things can be hard. We'll see if he has high effectiveness. So he doesn't. So we're actually going to do this on the MO haste because honestly, the Arbiter Vildred is, if my Arbiter Vildred dies, I can just Arbiter Vildred his Arbiter Vildred. But we do have a high ER. We do have a high ER Troublemaker set. He's close to 200 effectiveness. So not particularly scary, and once we kill him once, it's pretty much over. So we'll get him on the run back here. Even though we didn't get a Gab, we should be able to do significant damage and get that thick ML haste barrier that we all know and love. And he does get his Gab. I'm a little bit worried because he might be able to break through my ML haste barrier, since I did put my Troublemaker Crusade there. But we'll have to see. The good thing we stun. That's actually pretty important. Just so he can't get follow-up, although he should be taking all the hate. And just in case, I'm not too worried about the Tenebria. I am a little bit more worried about her. So we don't have to Soulburn. We can save the Soulburn for our Arbiter Vildred. And yeah, not sure why my guild was struggling so hard against this defense. Right? Maybe they just didn't have the ER units to deal with it. But yeah, it was a pretty clean sweep. I mean, there's nothing really too scary about the defense. And now for the one that you actually came here for, the Seaside. Again, there are a lot of defenses that just kind of lose to Seaside. There's a chance this goes on General Purgus, which sucks as we don't get that attack buff. That sucks as we don't get that attack buff. But it really doesn't matter, right? Because we'll have the Craw for safety for the Ruel, and then the Seaside should just be doing just insane damage. That is a damage Riolet, so I do need to deal with him decently fast. And if you're wondering why I'm hitting Ruel over hitting anyone else, is because I want the Ruel to go on herself rather than heal an ally, right? So that's the big thing. And one reason I like to take Seaside into Riolet is mainly because she does have that drink. And the drink passive does over time do a significant amount of damage on that Riolet, right? So we were going to actually finish off the Kise just so he has another target to go on. And let's actually just hit the Riolet. And once this Riolet dies, he's pretty much dead, right? So we're actually not going to finish him off. We're going to wait for Seaside to do that because we want the Kise to come back. We do lose General Purgus, which kind of sucks because this is my first Guild Wars fight. But it is what it is. Deanne would have probably been better in this situation just because she can tank a little bit. But I wanted the Riolet just in case the Kise went on Seaside. We had a backup plan, right? So that was a big reason why I wanted it that way in particular. So let's see if with General Purgus we are able to stun that Kise. So that way we are able to save our General Purgus. Alright. Oh shoot, I want to make an S2 to push her back. Man, we always get resistance with Craw. There's times where I'm like, man, Craw kind of sucks in that department. So we are going to lose our Craw, which makes me a little bit sad. Or not my Craw, my General Purgus. He's a pretty important part to my team. We'll wait for the Craw Seaside to get to a point. Very tanky Ruel, so I might actually have to wait on the double back. So then it didn't turn out as we had hoped. But you'll get an idea. It's still a W. There are more defenses that are more susceptible to this than this particular one. So it really just depends on the situation. I think she still has one more turn. Oh no, she has it up. So we'll get this in there just to get a little bit more damage. And we'll see if he gets Kisa or if he gets the Riolet. Either or, it shouldn't be that big of a deal just because we have Craw Horse to back us up all the way. But I kind of fumbled that one. So he did bring the Kisa. That's actually our best case scenario. Just because there's no way this Kisa kills anything, right? Right? Right. Right. We're chilling. And now we do Horse the Ruel. But Kisa, really popular Guild Wars defense unit. Clearly this guy's a pretty strong Guild Wars player. But sometimes Craw is usually just enough. We're going to do this so he doesn't have the chance to get more Gabs and to also get more focus for our Seaside. Some of that was a little bit scary. And again, there's a low crit rate that it really does hurt. And the not maxed out drink can really hurt you. As you guys saw, me not getting that might have been kind of bad for us. Man, we lost Craw too. That was not a good Guild Wars fight. We're going to try another Guild Wars fight because we lost way too much in this one. We're all kind of an annoying unit for Seaside. Let me try actually another team with Seaside because I need to redeem my Seaside. Because that one was a little sus. I'm not going to lie to you. That was a little sus on my part. So let me see what other defense we can grab. We are barely winning this fight though. Or this Guild War. Yeah, we're barely ahead. Wow, that's scary. All right, let's see. Who's a good one we can take with the end? There's a lot of weird defenses this time. I know around this time is usually when teams try to experiment with different defenses. This was actually okay, but we did lose General Purgus. And we did lose Crawl. I'm honestly more sad about the Crawl loss than the General Purgus loss. Because we cannot take Seaside into these type of teams. This one, there's the Riolet fucking Clary, so they'll 100% go on her. Oh, the second one's pretty Seasideable. So we'll take her against the second one. We'll take DJ Basar for the cleansing. Could have also taken Elena. And then we could add an attack buff. I don't think we need one. Actually. So I'm just not going to take one. Let's just take DN. Why not? Let's make Seaside do all the heavy lifting this time. So we'll take DN for the second one. And for the top one, I need a fucking Clary bait, but I lost my main one, which kind of sucks. So we're going to take Dizzy, because Dizzy does okay into them. We'll take fucking Clary, just so we can deal with the Riolet. And then who else do we want to deal with the rest of the team? We might take my own Riolet, just because he can do a pretty decent job at trying to dodge. So again, a little bit more sus of a defense. I still recommend doing the only thing is I kind of want someone fast. I might actually bring my top model Luluka into this one. Since we already have the fucking Clary bait, we'll do this just so we get the CR pushing and we get a little bit faster. And we already have the grass unit that the Charon's going to go on to. So pretty easy. This one's a really easy to manage defense because you have a lot of things you can actually bait into, right? So I can make sure that they never touch my team. And that's what's important, right? You don't want them hitting your team. And it was actually a very slow Riolet, so could have gone a little bit more offensive here. But we do want to get rid of that Riolet just so we don't get destroyed. We're also not going to be going on the Charon in case it's a counter Charon, and we're actually going to be waiting to cycle with fucking Clary or for our Dizzy to strip. Although she's not on the violin at the moment, which could be a problem. Ideally, she would be on the violin. But I forgot I haven't geared my Dizzy in ages. So, fucking Clary with speed buff. Oh yeah, we should be able to lap and strip the Charon later on. Although he loses the buffs here, so not too big of a deal. Alright. Decently fast Charon, actually. We have to get rid of her just because we need it to be able to solo the Charon if it comes down to it. That's a really weird artifact that I put my fucking Clary on. I could go for the Charon here, though. I'm wondering if that would be the better choice. I might just eat the S1 and just try to get rid of the fucking Clary as fast as possible. Since we had the shield from top model Luluka, I'm not too worried. And it's not an Elias knife, so it could have been a special type of Charon. But at this point, it's pretty autoable. I mean, this is just there when she breaks free. She's able to slow down the Charon's damage a little bit. And it was a counter K1. Wow. But there we go. Once we strip the attack buff, it's pretty safe at this point. He would have to counter every single time, and even then, he probably wouldn't win. He hasn't proc Dust Devil that I have seen, at least. And we cycled again with Tom Honoluluka, which means that we keep the barrier. So that's nice, too. That's very, very spicy. Alright, and that's GG. I know this is not what you guys signed up for, but we're about to get to the Seaside. We did have to redeem the Seaside, because, man, that one was a little bit rough before. That one, with the Riolet and the keep, he had a lot of damage to put pressure on my board. And with the, Seaside does a lot of AoE damage, not particularly a lot of single target, so it's hard to take down Riolet. But at this point, I am pretty confident that I can auto this one. Just because there's no real way, now that we have the DJ bar set up, we have the DN set up. This Tsurin's not going to do anything. The Ravi's not going to do anything. We're pretty much chilling at this point. We get the first S1, and then we'll get an S3 and start ramping up from the Ravi. And of course, Tsurin, not that strong. I also have used her in like those meta defenses, and I talked about how to use her against Fallen Cecilia and Tsurin. So yeah, at that point, it's pretty much GG. So very, very easy. Very, very basic. If they don't have a way to deal with Seaside, it's usually a GG, right? So that other one was a little bit more on the questionable side, but this one was a lot more solid. Because we actually did get the attack buff. Again, that low crit rate showing why it's so bad. If it was crit, it would have killed in that situation. So that's why you want your Seasides. Make sure you're not like me and you actually bump up those Seasides crit rates so you don't miss valuable crit rates like that. But that is it. So that is all I got for you guys today. This video already got a lot longer than I expected. Hopefully this gives you a good idea on Seaside offenses and kind of some ideas on how you may want to use them. But basically, protect Seaside, win game. As long as you don't have Riolet, you pretty much win. So that is all I got for you guys today, and I will see you next time. Peace.